Okay. What do you find? Do you find any of them more difficult than others? Like the ratios are all fine, tan and sine, or is it trying to find angles, or is it trying to find sides? What's easier? What's harder? What would you like to do?
Maybe do a couple from question 12 and 3.3 for the review.
Yeah, like the yeah, absolutely. So on page 52.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure, because those are basically the longest questions that you're going to look at. So. Okay, so the first thing that we want to look at when it comes to solving these questions is if you're given one of the angles, then you should automatically be able to find the second angle quickly. We know that all three angles add up to give you 180 degrees, and we also know that this angle C is 90 degrees. So if that angle C is 90 degrees, then that means that the other two angles have to also add up to 90. So I take 90 degrees and I subtract 17, and that gives me the measure of the other angle, so 73. So anytime you're given one angle, it's the simplest thing to do is to find the other angle. Just simply subtract it from 90 degrees. All right, so now I need side A and side B. And I say to myself, okay, I'm given 17 here. I'm given 17 degrees, and I'm given 12.6. So I ask myself every single time, where is side A in relation to 17? Opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? So where is A in relation to 17? It's opposite. Where is 12.6 in relation to 17? Well, I've already got the opposite, the side opposite. So I'm either looking at the adjacent side or the hypotenuse, depending on where it's located. And of course, it's across from the right angle, therefore it's the hypotenuse. So I'm talking then about opposite over adjacent. So to find A, I go sine of 17 degrees is equal to the side opposite over the hypotenuse. So I have sine 17 equals A over 12.6. So to get A by itself, I just simply, I've got A divided by 12.6, I multiply 12.6 up. So I take 12.6 times sine 17 equals. Okay. So now I have side A. Now I'm looking for side B. Where in the relationship to angle 17 is side B? So I have a choice. Opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Well, I already stated in the last question that this was opposite and this was hypotenuse. So B must then have to be the adjacent side. So now I'm talking about cos. So cos of 17 degrees is equal to the side adjacent over the hypotenuse. So B, excuse me, B over 12.6. And again, I write these out the same way every single time. I write the trig function that I'm talking about. So I always write the trig. I write the angle with it, and then I write the ratio as a fraction on the other side of the equation. Okay? So now I take 12.6, I times it by cos 17 equals 12.049. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my answer. So I'm going to go second function square root 3.684 squared plus 12.049 squared. Close the bracket, and it should give me very close to 12.6 if I've got it right. And I get 12.5996. So that's close enough. Okay, so again, every time I do these questions, I am able to check my answers. All right, and I almost always use Pythagoras' theorem to check my answer for it. All right, any questions about it? Okay, let's look at B now. So I've got that. Oh, 70.5. No 9. 70.5, 49 degrees, and then XZY. Okay, so like last question, I have two angles now. So I can find the third. 90 subtract 49. $41 degrees. Okay, so there, just very, very simple. That's my starting. Now I'm looking for X and I'm looking for Z. And this is a great question because it presents a new problem for you. The last one, we just simply had to multiply up. This time we have to do some switching. So let's have a look at it. Let's find X first. Where is X in relation to 49? Well, it's across from it, but in terms of trigonometry, we call that the opposite. Where is 70.5? Well, it's next to it, so in trigonometry, we call that adjacent. So I have the opposite side and the adjacent side. So the trig function is tangent. So tan 49 degrees equals X over 70.5. So the opposite over the adjacent. Again, simple multiplication now. I take 70.5 times the tangent of 49. And my X value is 81.101. Now I'm looking for little z. Where is little z in relation to 49? Well, some people like to call that the adjacent side because it's next to it. But we know better. We know that it is across from the right angle. Therefore, it's the hypotenuse. So that's my hypotenuse. 70.5 we've already established is adjacent to the 49 degrees. So now I'm talking about the cos of 49 degrees equals side adjacent 70.5 over z. Now, this is different than what we have done up to this point. All right. So when you're looking for the hypotenuse is almost always going to be, or it will always be on the bottom of the fraction when it comes to sine, cos, and tan. So in this case, mathematically speaking, I multiply the z up, I divide cos 49 down. But all I got to really do is just switch those two. So now I get z is now equal to 70.5 over the cos of 49. Okay, so now I take 70.5 and I divide it by cos 49 equals 107.460. So again, let's check our solution. 70.5 squared plus 81.101 squared should equal whatever 107.4 squared is. Or if I take the square root, I go 70.5 squared plus 81.101 squared. Close the bracket on my square root, and I get 107.460. So I get the same answer as what I was beginning with there. All right. We okay, girls?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to do the third one with you then. So let's look at C. C is another good one because it gives us two sides and no angles this time. Okay, so first thing I may want to do is find the third side, M. So to find the third side, I know that M squared plus 4.8 squared should equal my hypotenuse squared, which is 7.2 squared. So M squared is equal to 7.2 squared minus 4.8 squared. M is equal to the square root of those two. So that would be where I would start with this question. So second function, square root, 7.2 squared minus 4.8 squared equals 5.367. Okay? Now, I need to find M and L. Okay, so again, once I have established what angle I'm working with, now I need to find out what trig ratio or what trig function I'm going to use, and then what ratio. So let's start with M right now. That's this guy right here. So I'm going to ask myself, where is 4.8 in relation to M? Well, it can't be opposite because it's not across. So therefore, it must be the adjacent. So 4.8 is the adjacent side. 7.2 is the hypotenuse. I'm now talking about cos. So I go cos M equals 4.8 divided by 7.2. M equals. Now here's the second catch in this question. Because I am looking for an angle, I have to use the second function button for the trig. So I go second function cos, and then I take 4.8 divided by 7.2, close my bracket, and I end up with 48.190 degrees. Okay? I'm now going to do the same thing with L. So I'm looking at L now. Where is 4.8 in relation to L? Well, it's across from it. Where is 7.2? It's the hypotenuse. So now I'm talking about the sine of L. The ratio, which is great for us because we know that we're doing things right, the ratio is the same. It's still 4.8 over 7.2. The difference being, because I'm talking about L, then the 4.8 over 7.2 is the opposite over hypotenuse, which is the sine of this. And again, because I am using, all right, again, I'm looking for my angle, I have to use second function sine. Same thing, 4.8 divided by 7.2. And I get 41.810 degrees. And again, the beauty of trigonometry, things need to add up. Well, 48.190 and 41.810 should add to give me 90 degrees, because when I add it to this 90, that gives me 180, and it does. Therefore, I'm pretty certain I've got this all correct. Okay? How's that, girls?
Good.
Yeah, Avery, you're okay?
Yep.
All right. So the only other thing that is in this that I like to point out, just because we get this question and then everybody asks, well, I don't understand what that is, and that is this. Let's say I'm standing on the top of a cliff and I look straight out. So that's looking out at the horizon, okay, looking straight out. If I look up, this creates what I call my angle of elevation. Okay, so if I take the horizontal and I look up from the horizontal, that creates an angle of elevation. If I look down from that horizontal, that creates an angle of depression. So I have angle of elevation, angle of depression. If you look at question 14, it talks about a surveyor is trying to determine the height of a cliff from her location 1375 meters from the base of the cliff. The angle of elevation to the top of the cliff is 27 degrees. So in other words, that surveyor is 1375 meters from the base of the cliff, is looking up. Cliff is at 90 degrees. The angle of elevation for that question is 27 degrees. And they want you to find the cliff height. Okay, so when you're talking about angle of elevation and angle of depression, look straight out. If you look up, that's angle of elevation. Look straight out. If it's down, that's angle of depression. We're okay? Okay. So what I'd like to see you do then is finish that off today to the end of 52. And then tomorrow we'll do the cumulative review. So that's page 53 and 54. And somewhere along the way this week, I'll get you a few questions that we can hand back in for marks on chapters 1, 2, and 3. I don't know how exactly it's going to look, but I'll get a mini assignment for you. And again, we can make some adjustments from there. Any questions or concerns, girls, from what's happening right now? Okay, you do know that you are able to come in for your classes if you want to meet with teachers. You just have to phone and make an appointment at the school or email your teacher and they'll make the appointment for you. So if there's anything you need, you can come in. For the grade 10s and 9s, 10s, and 11s, the interviews will go next week. Okay, so if you have any concerns, I think you're both pretty good on the math end of it, but if you want to look at some things, whatever you want to do, you're more than welcome to come in. Okay? All right, I have nothing else for you. If you want to work to get to the end of 51 and 52, that would be ideal. Okay? All right, I'll talk to you girls tomorrow. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye.